I was a broke student on clinicals in New York City, Brooklyn, New York. And I just saw my bank account going down and down and down. And I was like, Joseph, let's start charging some money because
Welcome to the Anti-Broke Podcast. My name is Joseph Ngugi.
I'm Casey Coleman, and we're joining you on this journey from financial frustration to financial freedom.
We started as physical therapy students with one goal, to not be broke. And it wasn't our degrees, but the skills that we learned outside of the classroom that changed the game for us and our careers.
Today, we're not just surviving, but we're thriving with multiple businesses that have soared into the six figures and beyond. But more importantly, we're here to help make sure that you can do the same.
So whether you're a new grad, a student, or just starting out, we're here to help you turn what you're already good at into money, into wealth, so that you can have freedom as well. Super excited for this. We are starting this podcast, and today we're going to tell you a little bit more about why we're doing this. But we are both currently physical therapists, but as students, we're struggling with the elements of just having school debt building up, trying to figure out how to pay for life, and then realizing that life is not what you expect after you graduate. We went from being broke students and broke new grads even to figuring out some stuff about money. We do have multiple businesses that are doing fairly well. Over the journey of this podcast, we're going to tell you what we have learned, but also we're going to be asking questions as well because we're on our journey as well. So we're going to be bringing on guests and people that have figured this out, but we're going to help students, new grads, and young adults earn more, owe less, and live better. Super excited for it. Casey, what are you looking forward to the most with the journey that we're going to be going on with this podcast? It's not our first podcast. It's definitely the first that we've done when it comes to money, which is going to be a lot of fun for us. But I'm curious, before we go back in time, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to the most?
Yeah, just looking forward to getting the feedback from the listeners and seeing what they gravitate to, what they like, what they resonate with, what they don't resonate with, just seeing how it goes and grows and evolves over time. This is probably something I would have been interested in, or maybe, no, it would be, but it would have taken me a little bit to get interested in it. I'd probably see a show topic or see a conversation and be like, oh, that's cool. Then see another episode and be like, oh, I don't really like that one. Then see another one and be just hooked in over time. So I'm curious to see if anybody like the younger version of me would be gravitated and pulled to this. I think I would have been. So we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it evolves. But overall, I'm excited. Let's have some fun.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And just to give you all a teaser, some of the stuff that we have coming up is conversations like, how do I save while I'm in school? What's the number one way to not be broke, even if I'm a student? We're going to talk about school. Is that making you broke? Is school even important anymore? We're going to talk about investment 101, how to figure out the basics of investing, IRA basics, right? Is buying a car worth it? Is buying a house? Like just all the things that most of us just don't get a conversation about because our families and school and whatnot, just for many of us, just don't really talk about money too much and debt and a lot of the things that we're going to cover. We're going to be your big brothers, just making sure y'all are good and talking about the things that we wish someone would talk to us about, but also the things that have changed the game for us. But also we're going to ask some questions as well as we bring people in. So it's going to be cool. We're going to have amazing opportunities for y'all to tune in as well. So let's get to it. Casey, where did this all begin? Because we've been on this journey for quite a bit of time. So I'll let you give everyone a bit of a background story and also why us? Like, why should they be listening to these two dudes talking about money, anti-broke? There's a reason why we didn't call it the Wealth Podcast because everyone wants to not be broke. So that's why we went with that name for this podcast. But bro, take them back. Like, why us? Why are we doing this? But more importantly, what's the beginning? Like, how did we get here?
So I'll try and keep it short. I'll try and keep it simple. So we went to college together, undergrad, normal college together, and we ended up going to the same physical therapy school. For some of you watching this or listening to it right now, you might be some of our past clients, current clients, future clients, who knows, but you probably know us from another company called Pre-PT Grind. So how that started was we met in college, undergrad. Joseph got into physical therapy school. I got into physical therapy school a year after him. And in physical therapy school, we started learning more about business. We started learning about money. We started learning about how we thought a salary from a healthcare 9-to-5 type of job would have paid us versus in reality, how it doesn't pay us. And we thought it was just physical therapy. Come to find out, it's almost every 9-to-5 type of job, corporate job, contracting job. You find out this reality that, oh, it's not all sunshine and rainbows that you thought it was when you were 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh, I'm going to make 50K, 60K, 80K, 100K, 200K at this job. My life will be great. In parts, it is great, but you also get the other reality of it. Oh, I didn't know this came with this salary or this type of job. So we ran into that problem, and then we created businesses for ourselves to fix that problem for ourselves, monetarily, economically, then also solve a problem for our audience. And at the same time as when we started learning about money stuff, we solved the problem of helping students get into physical therapy school. And we became consultants for those students who wanted to get into physical therapy school. For those of you listening to this sometime in the future and you don't know about the process, the physical therapy school process is like med school, dental school, pharmacy school, all this stuff you have to apply to get in. It is not college, it is grad school. So we have to clarify that all the time for a lot of people. It is grad school. So you go to 4 years of college, you go to 2-3 years of grad school, which is physical therapy school. So out of all the schools out there, they averagely accept 40 to 50 people per class, per year, per cohort. So if you have 600, 500, 400 people applying for 40 seats, that's 10, 11, 12, 15% acceptance rate, right? So it's very difficult to get in. So we started a business as consultants to help them get into school. Then those students had other problems. They were like, okay, I'm in, great, you guys helped me. How can we make money like you guys did? So then we started teaching them how to make money like we did. Now we have another business that you're listening to this through called Cash Class University, impact to income stuff, all the different programs and names that we have with this in this podcast, anti-broke podcast, all this stuff. This is where it started. Long story short, very long story short. If you want us to go into it, we can if you want, but long story short, it started with us in college, solving a problem for ourselves and solving a problem for other people to get us here now to talk about this topic of anti-broke, because we started that business to be anti-broke. Oh, short story, how we started charging is because we already were building an audience to solve this problem. And I was on a clinical in New York. Clinicals mean you have to do practical work in the real world before you get your physical therapy license. And I was a broke student on clinicals in New York City, Brooklyn, New York. And I just saw my bank account going down and down and down. And I was like, Joseph, let's start charging some money because I'm a broke student. Hence anti-broke podcast, right? I'm broke. Let's start charging money. So I got out the shower and I was like, all right, let's go. How can we do this? A few weeks later, we started charging for it. And long story short, we got here. That's the whole premise and parts of the story to this anti-broke podcast, because we were broke at one point. So
it was almost like accidental is probably the way I felt about this, where this was never my dream initially. I had dreams of having time in my career and freedom and a lot of those things. I didn't realize that I needed to figure out my money stuff first, right? And so whether as a student or not, maybe we can switch gears a little bit and talk about like, why does this matter though? Like, why is this even a topic? Like, why should we be talking about this? Like, why not something else? Like, why not ignore this? Why not just be like, yeah, no, life will figure itself out. I'm good. Why now? And so let's go that route a little bit, because that's really going to set the pace for what we'll cover over the next several weeks, months, and years as this podcast continues to grow. And the reason why now is because it's getting to a point where it's especially with school, with the amount of debt that y'all are graduating with, it's pretty insane. So for example, we're in the physical therapy space. So for us with physical therapy school, like there's people that are graduating with what, like 200K in debt. There's some schools that are up to just under $230,000 for the whole schooling process for grad school, y'all. That's not including undergrad. That's not including paying for a place to stay, all the other things. And so it's becoming a problem, but the pay as professionals is not changing that much. So not only are students feeling the pressure of trying to figure out how to pay for classes, but you're also feeling the pressure after you're done with school. So we got to figure this ish out. Like we got to figure out how to do life. Because if you grew up like me, money is not a big conversation. Like money is not something we talk about. Debt's not something we talk about. It's just something we keep hush. It's taboo, right? And then when you're trying to figure out how to make more money, you're being told things like money is the root of all evil, or it's just all the things that start to mess with us. And y'all, we're living in a world where like houses today, we'll talk about all this stuff, right? But houses today, if you ask somebody that bought a house 20 years ago, 30 years ago, what they paid for it, it's a fraction. But if you ask them how much they were getting paid career-wise, the balance just doesn't make sense. Like they're like, go look it up. If you like look at how much someone was making like in the 90s or even 80s, if you look at the equivalent of what you would have to be making today to live the same way, it does not add up. And so people are getting frustrated. And so instead of us sitting here saying, yeah, let's get frustrated and blame the government and blame this and blame that. No, we're going to take ownership, because that's the only way. Like there is no president that's going to save you. There is no politician that's going to save you. There is no system that's going to save you. Even if a few things get forgiven, it's you. Right. And so you have control, but it's through learning the right things. We're going to take you down the path that we've been on, but more importantly, there's way more that we have yet to learn as well. However, if you can, as we begin this podcast journey, if you can understand that it's on you and you take full ownership of that, this is going to be great. If you think it's on other people, then you're going to struggle big time. So Casey, speak to that a little bit, man. Like the urgency of figuring this now, because it's not just a matter of, I want to live a luxurious life. It's no, life is demanding that I figure this out, or else. That's where we're at now in the US in 2024. So what are your thoughts on that?
yeah, if you look up something called inflation, it's devastating. You will get very frustrated. You'll get almost pissed off. Just if you really start to understand it, I'm sure we'll go into more episodes with talking about it in the details, but you have no choice. I don't know what else to say. You have no choice. The value of our dollar, the value of what you can buy today, if you wait 2 years to get started, or two years to make a plan, or 2 years to make a budget, or whatever, to be anti-broke, whatever we'll be talking about here, you'll just have less money to do it with. I don't know what else to say. So if you wait 6 months, 2 years, a year from now to be like, oh yeah, I don't need to get started yet, I'm good, I have 5,000 in my account, 200 in my account, 10,000, 100,000 in my account, I'm sorry to say, it just won't be worth as much. It's just not. So why you should start now, why you should start planning, why you should start thinking about this now, is because there's no other choice you have. It's either that, or I don't want to go too deep into it, but yeah, you don't have a choice. So you have to start now. I'll tell you the short story. It's not really a story, but I've learned over the years that everything takes so much longer than we think. We're like, okay, I want to make a plan to make all this money, or I want to make a plan to make this business, or I want to get into physical therapy school, or I want to do this, or I'm inspired now. It's going to take 6 months. It's going to take a year. It's going to take 7 years. It's going to take 10 years. If you are going to wait 6 months, a year, 2 years, 10 years to do something, you have put yourself 10 years back than that you thought you would be at your goal from. So like, why are you waiting? Like, why? I don't know what else to say. I don't know. So that's why it's so important, because I'm so glad I started when I did, because our businesses has saved us so many times. It saved me personally so many times. The money that I've made 2 years ago saved me last week. The money that I invested 3 years ago can save me 3 weeks from now. But that's here because of what happened 3 years ago when we started Pre-PT Grind 7 years ago. If I had not started then, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. If I had started something else, maybe I should have started a different business and made another hustle or invested somewhere else, and I could have been better off, but I'll never know. But I'm just telling you from experience, you have no choice. And I'm so glad I started when I did, because it saved me 100 times.
I hope y'all are excited for it. It's going to be an absolute blast. We'll tell y'all more about our stories as we go. It's just going to weave itself into everything that we do. If you guys want to get some like early scoops on episodes, we haven't solidified this yet, but we might even have sessions where you can actually be on the stream as we record this live. Because when you see this and hear it, it's already pre-recorded, edited, all that stuff. So if you want to be there live, asking questions in real time as we're talking about stuff, go to antibrokepodcast.com and we'll have information on there on how y'all can do that. We'll keep y'all updated. It's going to be a blast. And of course, as you enjoy these episodes, if you like it, if you're like, yo, this is dope, share it out with your friend. Be sure to like, subscribe on all of our platforms. Just go and find Anti-Broke Podcast. I got to figure that out. Anti-Broke Podcast, I believe, is where you'll find it everywhere. So see, first episode is how it is. And I'll probably keep that in the episode so y'all can see how it looks like to start something with imperfect action. But on all of our social media platforms, look at Cash and Class University. So Cash and Class University on Instagram, Cash and Class University on YouTube. That'll show you some of the other stuff that we're going to be doing to teach people about money. What we've done, and this is very important for y'all to hear as we end this, is for several years, we worked with a very small group of people, or a selective group of people that wanted to learn how to make money the way we've done it. And they've done great. Like one of our students, while in PT school last year, did over $171,000, right? So it's next level stuff. We will teach y'all. However, the last 6 months, we've really been like, no, we got to take the stuff we've been learning and really talk about this on a public platform. So that's why we're doing this. And as it continues to grow now on the Cash and Class platform, just tune in. So YouTube, Instagram, those are the big ones, social media wise, but podcast wise, just go look up Anti-Broke Podcast anywhere, and then share with your people, subscribe on our platforms, and reach out, ask us questions. And like I said, if you want to make sure that you don't miss out on like inside scoops or things that we're telling the people that are on a select list of what they want to know about early episodes, or if they want to get sneak peeks or whatever the case might be, go to antibrokepodcast.com and we got you. That is it. Case, anything else, brother?
That's it. Subscribe, share with your friends, and all that stuff. And we'll see you on the next episode.
I love it. Let's get it. Y'all have a blessed one. Bye.